The cover-up of the Chernobyl disaster. In the early hours of April 26, 1986, the world witnessed one of the most catastrophic nuclear disasters in history. A routine safety test at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Pripyat, Ukraine, went awry, resulting in a massive explosion and fire that released a plume of radioactive material into the atmosphere. The immediate impact was devastating, leading to loss of life, widespread contamination, and lasting environmental damage. However, what followed in the aftermath of the disaster was a chilling tale of deception, misinformation, and a concerted effort to downplay the severity of the incident. As the explosion tore through the reactor building, a lethal mix of radioactive isotopes was ejected into the air, spreading across Europe and beyond. In the immediate aftermath, the true extent of the disaster was shrouded in secrecy and denial. The Soviet authorities, led by the Kremlin, were determined to suppress the severity of the situation, fearing both domestic and international repercussions. The first step in the cover-up was the deliberate underreporting of the initial explosion. The official statement issued by the Soviet government downplayed the incident, claiming it was merely a fire at the plant. However, the ominous reality was far graver, with the reactor core exposed and spewing deadly radiation into the atmosphere. As the severity of the disaster became impossible to conceal, the next phase of the cover-up unfolded. A strict veil of secrecy descended upon the affected area, with a 30-kilometer exclusion zone established around the power plant. Residents of Pripyat were abruptly evacuated, leaving behind their possessions and livelihoods, while being assured that they would be able to return in a matter of days. This reassurance was a cruel deception, as the contaminated city would remain abandoned and uninhabitable for decades to come. Meanwhile, the international community remained largely uninformed about the true scale of the catastrophe. It wasn't until heightened levels of radiation were detected in Scandinavia, thousands of kilometers from the plant, that the world began to grasp the magnitude of the disaster. Even then, the Soviet authorities continued to downplay the seriousness of the situation, exacerbating the global health and environmental risks. Behind the Iron Curtain, a team of liquidators, consisting of firefighters, plant workers, and military personnel, were dispatched to the scene to contain the fallout. These brave individuals faced unimaginable levels of radiation as they worked tirelessly to mitigate the crisis. Many sacrificed their health and ultimately their lives in their efforts to prevent further catastrophe. Their heroism and selflessness stand as a stark contrast to the callousness of the cover-up orchestrated by those in power. In the years that followed, the truth about the Chernobyl disaster slowly emerged from the shadows of secrecy. Disturbing revelations came to light, exposing the extent of the cover-up and the long-term implications of the nuclear catastrophe. The toll on human lives was staggering, with thousands of cases of thyroid cancer and other radiation-related illnesses directly attributed to the disaster. The environmental impact was equally profound, with significant areas of land rendered uninhabitable and wildlife suffering the effects of genetic mutations and habitat destruction. The Chernobyl disaster serves as a harrowing reminder of the perils of nuclear power and the monumental consequences of human error and negligence. It also stands as a stark testament to the dangers of misinformation and the chilling reality of state-sponsored cover-ups. The legacy of Chernobyl extends far beyond the physical and environmental toll, serving as a cautionary tale of the catastrophic consequences of concealing the truth from the public and the world at large. In the decades since the Chernobyl disaster, efforts to contain the radiation and mitigate its long-term effects have been ongoing. The construction of the